I have here just a solid color background, which I've added some texture to. And in digital scrapbooking, we often like to have our edges a little bit darker, and sometimes we like to have them a little bit lighter, and there are a variety of methods that you can use to arrive at that. But let me show you one method, and that is to dodge and burn. And so I'm going to duplicate that background layer, and I'm going to grab the burn tool. I'm just going to pick a grungy brush. This is not necessarily a grungy brush. I'm just going to use it for the purposes of this tutorial, and then draw around the edges. Make sure that your exposure is fairly low. If you get something a little too dark and you want to fix it, you can get the dodge tool and whoa, lower the exposure on that way down, and it's still too high. I think we need to take it all the way down to maybe 2 or 3. And then you can also apply the dodge to it. You can see you really need it subtle. However, as you notice, I had to make a copy of the background layer to preserve my original layer, because in case I make an error such as this and I don't really like the way it looks, the only way to fix this and start over is to delete this layer and to duplicate that again. Another difficulty in doing it this way is if you have multiple layers, maybe your stripes on one layer with a background below that. And so there's another method that's called the non-destructive burning and dodging. And in order to do that, we're going to create a new layer, go to the Edit drop-down menu, Fill Layer, and choose 50% gray. And this is what 50% gray looks like. Now if we change it to the overlay mode, the way that the blending modes work, which is a whole new tutorial, but the way the overlay mode works with 50% gray is that it makes no change. So if I click off the eye and click the eye back on, you can see it makes no change to the paper. Now I can go and get my burn tool and apply it directly, and I'm just doing this fast. I'm not trying to make my borders look really nice. I'm just showing you how this works. But you can see I can use the dodge and burn tools directly on this 50% gray layer, and it's going to affect all of the layers beneath it, and it's going to be non-destructive. And if you want to start over, you can just simply go to that fill layer and fill it with 50% gray again and start over once again. Now there's another method. I'm going to go ahead and give this away. It's very similar to this method, but I seem to like doing it this way better. I seem to get better results. I'm not certain why, but I'm going to get a new adjustment layer, and I'm going to choose solid color. Now I want to fill this with 50% gray, and you're going to stop and say, well, how do you get 50% gray? It's fairly easy. On the HSB colors, you would choose 0, 0, and then simply 50%. And then you're going to have your 50% gray. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to the overlay mode, so we now have no changes. Now for the layer mask though, I'm going to go ahead and click on my foreground color, and I'm going to put it at a 2% black, I guess you would say, rather than gray. And I'm going to fill my layers mask with that color. You can see that it didn't make much change. Actually, I think I've put this on the wrong one. We want the difference mode. and you can see it doesn't make a whole lot of change. Now in the difference mode, if I had this at 100% black, there would be no change. However, I cannot use the dodge and burn at 100% black. That's why I chose the 2% to put in there, which I guess black is actually 0%, not 100%. 0% makes black. 2% makes just a slightly lighter black, but not visible to the eye. Now I can grab my dodge and burn tools and do the same to this layer, only I need to raise that way up. And I'm applying it to the mask. And I just like the way, and I'm not doing this very well, because my computer is acting slow right now. But then I just like the way this blending mode looks. Of course, I'm not doing a very good example of it right now, but if I wanted to, I could go and start over by filling it with the foreground color, which is that 2% black, and starting all over. Now you'll notice that the dodge and burn tools are working backwards. If I put it on the dodge tool, which is supposed to lighten, you can see it's actually making it darker. That is because I'm going to hold down on the Alt key and click on the mask layer. You can see I'm actually drawing on the mask layer and it is dodging it. But because the way the difference blending mode is working, when I click on the Alt key and click on the layer mask again to go back, because the way the difference mode is working, it's working the opposite. And so I'm going to want to burn to lighten things and dodge to darken things. Now you can actually play with some of the other blending modes to see how they look. This one's going to automatically lighten it. I tend to like to use the difference mode though, because I like the way it changes the paper, the way the blending mode itself works. And so you can see here, I've actually created, not just in playing, a piece of paper not half bad. And you can play around, of course, remember, with all sorts of brushes. If you wanted to get some brushes that have like for cracks and thin swirls and things like that, you can also apply this to the mask. And remember that you can get very creative and actually go and make another adjustment layer mask and try blending that and dodging and burning to that too. And so I thank you for watching this tutorial, and I hope you've learned some, and please do share with me any results that you get from this tutorial. There are always so many methods to do the same thing, and I would love to see what you have to do.